Welcome you to our R3 2025 release. We're hoping that, we're really excited to have you here with us today as we're going to explore the latest enhancements within this R3 release. It's designated to or designed to streamline some workflows, improve some visibility, and elevate the financial operations. Included in this release is some powerful updates across accounts receivable, accounts payable, purchasing, expenses, time, and much more. Plus, there's going to be some new automation tools and reporting capabilities that we'll know you'll love. Just to keep things running smoothly this morning, our host will be managing our mute settings throughout the session. You're welcome to use the chat for questions as we go through, and we'll open things up for a live discussion during the Q&A. So let's get started. Our Sage Intacct team consists of our Director Consulting, Christina Connors. Hopefully, if you guys had an opportunity to meet her, she's been with us for a few months now, and it's a great asset to our team. And our consulting team, me, Julie, and then we got Brooke, and I forgot to include a few others, so sorry. So the way that I split this out is by module, and so I'll take you through each of the sections. There's been a lot of enhancements with this release, and so obviously we can't cover everything within this hour. So I kind of picked the ones that I kind of liked, and I hope you can benefit from these two. The first two slides are going to be really important. I think we've communicated this a few times, but just really want to remind you the importance of authenticating and validating your email domain. You know, the word custom may be one that you think, oh, well, we don't have a custom domain, but anything at microaccounting, at UFS, any of those, that's a custom domain. And we really need to get that authenticated to help ensure we have uninterrupted emails, right? And so with this new enhancement change on how Sage is directing those emails, it really is going to reduce the chances of our messages getting marked as spam or not even reaching those recipients. I've had a few of those, and once we've authenticated their server, they start popping again. So it's very important. This new service or process will protect your domain from being phished and other fraudulent activities. So I'm not sure if you've ever received emails from a different, you can kind of see it in the @ sign if it's coming from a fake email address. But again, authenticating your email domain will minimize that. So what action is required? You can always reach out to us at Sage Intacct, our Sage Intacct email address, and I'll show that at the end. Or you can just work, if you're admin and Sage Intacct administrator, you can work directly with your your IT email administrator, and work through getting some DS keys. And I put some screenshots here. It's a pretty simple process. You have to have admin rights to do this, to get into this area. So really all you do is you have your IT specialist with you. You'll go into the company setup. You will click add domain. You just put your domain name. So ours is microaccounting.com, and you click this button. What will happen is it might take a couple of seconds, and especially during for releases, a lot of people start running this process, and so it might seem like it's not working. So make sure you come back to it, okay? So it might take 5 minutes. If everyone starts doing it this week, it's going to be a lot of users trying to authenticate. Just keep that in mind. It's pretty simple. Once you click that authenticate domain button, it's going to go out and produce keys. And these are the keys, and this copies right into Excel. You can copy this grid. give it to your IT guys, gals, and then they can enter it into their email servers, and they know how to do that. And once they do that, they'll come back and tell you that I completed it, and then you validate the domain. And then it'll actually say it's authenticated. That's the process. This is really going to help, again, with that delivery of those emails. So think about if I'm sending an AR invoice, or I'm sending an AP advice, letting the vendor know that I'm sending payment. That's an email going out of Intacct. So it's very, very, very important that this gets completed soon. Okay, again, you can reach out to us and we can help you. Or again, if you're an admin administrator, you can go directly into the company setup configuration and manage this yourself. So again, very, very important. Our next slide is going to talk about a new import service, and it's not really new. It's been out there, but they're expanding the different areas that we can use this tool. Okay. And so the benefit of this import service is it allows us to use one spreadsheet with multiple tabs. And it also will allow us to have real-time visibility on those errors. So for those folks that import a lot, you know that we'll import a file, we'll wait, we get an email says that it's been successful or there's errors. And the way that that process works is it goes one at a time, then it's going to find another error and another error. And then sometimes that import process can take you 15 minutes, especially if it's new, right? And so with this new import service, it shows all those errors at once, and you can clean them up right on the screen. Okay, so again, a very, very powerful new tool that they keep expanding and enhancing on. Now, the only way that we can get to this Intacct import service tool is through the company configuration import section. There's a company checklist, and I'll show you, I'm going to demo this piece later on. And so that's the only way you can get to it. So it won't have the little import button that we're used to, maybe if we're going to like AP Bill and we can import directly from that screen. What will happen is we go to company imports, and then it'll allow us to import from there. Please note that, like I mentioned, it's only available through that company setup checklist, and you have to have permissions to that area, okay? Again, if you need any assistance with this, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help you. Okay, some of the things that, again, I really enjoy working in Intacct. So these are really cool things. I believe that they've enhanced, really excited about these. A couple of them have been out there, but they just keep enhancing them, like the default list views, okay? So some of you may have been already using these views. And what I mean by that is I'm hoping that you can see these two slides. This is the old view. So you can kind of see that I can't filter as much. You have to use your wildcard. So if I wanted to go find maybe all of the vendors that have property in it, I would have to go and type a wildcard and then property. With this new view, and I can get to this view a couple of ways, but as of Monday, this is going to be the default view experience for all end users. And so when you come into the system on Monday and you happen to land on the vendor page, it's going to look like this. Nothing's wrong with your system. It's just that new view that's been out there for a while now. You probably noticed those hyperlinks out there. It says turn off enhanced list view or turn it on. Those toggle buttons will remain, but just know that as of Monday, and you land on the AP vendor build, there's going to be different screens that they're defaulting. Not all of them are part of this enhancement, but they will be. So please try to get used to this area, this view. Very powerful. And again, I'll take you into some of the features that we like here. But this allows me to put anything in here without a wildcard. So if I was looking for avenues versus street, or if I was looking for Texas, I could just do that without a wildcard. I can freeze columns, I can add columns, and I can do split view. So if it just seems too overwhelming and it's a busy Monday morning and it's just like, I just got to get back to that old view, not a problem. You'll just come right up here, if I can find my mouse, and turn off that enhanced list. But my recommendation is let's just leave it on. Let's get used to it, because that's going to be the way of the future. That's going to be our view. That's the way it's going to be. And they're going to expand them to the rest of the pages. So it's pretty exciting, I think. Especially when you go look into the vendors and the bills and you have that split view. So I think you're going to see some exciting stuff if you haven't explored with it recently. Another neat thing that they're doing is they're really trying to improve efficiencies, reducing maybe the number of clicks that I have to go through just to pay a bill or just to navigate, right? So what they've done here is they've added on the vendor list. So I'm sitting on the vendor list here, you can see. They've added a new column, and I apologize for the screen, but again, we're going to view this in a demo. They've added the pay feature. So I can go to a particular vendor. I can pull up maybe all of the medical equipment repair, find all of those bills and pay them by selecting all of them. When I click the pay button, it's just going to bring up the pay bill screen, something that you're familiar with. It's just a way to get to that quicker than going up into navigation, going into AP, going into pay bills, right? And then selecting them. You basically have already selected the bills that you want to pay by landing on the vendor list view page. Pretty powerful stuff. What's the key benefits? Obviously, it's going to reduce the number of steps just to pay that vendor. If I was on the vendor page anyway, looking for something, it keeps me on that page. I'm not getting out and coming back in. Again, it just, like I said, it's going to improve the efficiency, and all of these actions are logged in the posted payment audit trail. So we still have that view, and we can still track those entries. Now, just some key points. This feature cannot be paid from the vendors list. There's some, I should say, some conditions where you can't do that. Some of those would probably be if the pay method is different. This is this is available at both the top and the entity level, so that's cool. And it's going to appear here whether it's paid or unpaid. So just really some neat enhancements to the pay list, or to the vendor list, using the pay feature. This is one of my favorites, I think, within this release. For those folks that are utilizing AP automation, and for those folks that are not, something that you should explore. It's a very powerful tool, and a lot of clients love it. If you've been using AP automation prior to May of 2025, you're going to have this old email format, and you're probably used to this. What happens is your invoices are going to come in, and then it's either you're manually forwarding it to whatever email that's applicable, and then it gets coded from there, and you're able to pay it, right? Well, now by us authenticating and moving to the new format, and I'll explain that in a minute, we're able to use forwarding rules. So what that means is if, let's say I have multiple AP email accounts and it comes in, I can create a rule that says, hey, if the email is coming from WD100, I want it to go to WD100@ai.sage.com. So now by migrating to this new email format, we can support those forwarding rules. and that's really cool. What's needed or what action is needed to move over to this new format? Again, if you are new to AP automation from May of 25 on, your emails were set up in this format. And so you're already supported. You can create forwarding rules if you'd like. For those other customers or clients that have been using AP automation for some time now, obviously before or prior to May of 2025, we need to, you'll reach out to us, we'll submit a ticket to Sage Support, and they will go ahead and convert that format for you. So they'll convert the Sage Mail to the AI. See, we're using a lot of AI, sage.com. And, Sage is really investing a lot in AI. So I mean, just with the AP automation, we got Copilot, we have a lot of neat things. So this is very cool. So for those folks that, again, are using AP automation prior to, reach out to us and we can help you with that. Another area that they're really enhancing is the AP approvals. They've opened up the ability to, or more powerful, I should say, because we've always had the delegate, but this is a little bit more powerful. And so now we can open up the delegate bill approval section in the AP configuration. So I have a screenshot here. You click this enable delegation. It's going to open up this screen, and then we're able to identify who that delegator is. And then me as a person in the approval chain, I will have a screen like this in my user preference that will allow me to say that I'm going to open up delegates. It's going to start from here to here. And so when I'm on vacation, any of those AP bills that need approved will go to whoever identified, okay? And then it will end based on the end date. So opening up some new rules to allow that delegation to work a little bit smoother. Let me see, some of the key benefits. Obviously, it's going to just, maintain that seamless bill approval workflow. It'll eliminate, delays. It allows the delegation to both individuals or user groups for flexible coverage, which is awesome. And then it's going to provide that visibility in those custom reporting tools that we have. It's also available, I see a typo, sorry, in the user interface and the API. Okay, now we're moving on to cash management. And again, those AI tools out there and bank rules and the whole banking process or feeds that they're really enhancing is becoming really, really powerful. And so now they're opening up even more views and more fields that will make this even more, it'll make it a little bit more easier to define these matching roles, these creation roles. And it's not really just us, it's the banks. The banks are actually opening up a little bit more of their data. So, we're dependent on the bank, and if the bank doesn't open it up, we can't get to it. And so the banks are really providing more banking details for us so that we can even have more fields to tailor our matching and our creation rules, right? So that's really cool. You can see some of the fields that they've added. So we could target off of payee details. We got category and subcategories that we can now see and filter against. We can even get to the short descriptions. So sometimes in those descriptions, there's value information that we can use to push it to the right place. And now they've opened that up, and the bank reference numbers too. So again, just making this process even more powerful and streamline that bank reconciliation process for us, right? And so basically for those folks that are using any type of, banking rules and you're importing or connecting directly to the bank, You can go into your bank transactions and you can create a new view. And again, we'll cover this in a quick demo, and then we'll save that view. And then those fields now can be used on the bank transaction page, and we can filter on that information. So again, that's a very powerful enhancement. So for those folks that want to explore bank feeds, reach out to us and we can have a conversation. This is another exciting piece for those folks that maybe need a balanced ACH file. They are opening up a new area. I shouldn't say new area, I should say new features, I guess. And they've opened up the ability now to have a balanced or unbalanced ACH file. And this is something that I'm really, really excited to see, because, you know, for those folks that are required or needed a balanced ACH file, typically had to use a third party, and now we have that feature available within Sage Intacct. So really excited. You will notice from the screenshot that under the bank file, and you have to be subscribed to the banking cloud. That's just part of the implementation setup. So if you're using ACH, you're probably most likely already subscribed. And so once we click on the bank file tab and we select the enable, this is the new feature right here, enable bank file payments. Once we do that, we have a new drop-down box, and these are the options that we have to select from. So this is again, very powerful enhancement, and it's exciting to see that Sage Intacct, you know, spends a lot of time and energy in putting these releases out. And about maybe 5 of them so far that I've noticed has come from either partners' ideas or your ideas, you know, you yourself. So that's awesome. So, you know, continue doing that, continue giving feedback, continue, you know, giving recommendations, because this is the way to improve your system. You're part of the solution. So really cool. Let's go talk about some AR stuff, okay? They're trying to keep, you know, things that they do in AP and incorporate those in AR too, right? Because if I see a feature in AR, I wonder why I don't have that in AP. So they're trying to keep those kind of the same, if you will. And so now, like, we had the ability to pay that vendor bill from the vendor list. We have the same ability to do it from a customer payment perspective. So now I can remain on the customer list. So I'm in AR, I'm in customers, I'm at that customer list view. And now I have a new column that will say apply payment. Same concept as accounts payable. I can go and filter, if I'm using especially my new view, I can filter on my customer. I can see what bills or what invoices are out there sitting for that customer. And then I can select them and receive payment. So again, just trying to streamline that process, minimize those clicks. And again, this feature is available at both the top and the entity level, okay? And then just like AP, you know, these actions will still be logged in the posted payment audit trail, and it's still going to keep you on this page after you apply the payment. So another neat enhancement. Just some other areas that I didn't define too much, but wanted to at least, you know, bring them to our attention. You know, really doing a lot around advances. And so now they've brought in the ability to track, you know, sometimes it might be hard to find advance. And so now they've allowed or brought the ability to track advance by a payment ID. And so that payment ID is going to be available in reports so that we can search better on that. With this new feature, we also will have the ability to create an advance and save it as a draft. And so what that does is it allows me to come back to it, right, and complete it. And maybe I don't need that advance now, so I can delete it without reversing it out. So again, Very powerful stuff. Let's see, enhancements to credits. Same concept. It's going to help us streamline how those credits are applied when we're receiving those payments. It's going to save time. We can apply these credits to multiple invoices. We can stay efficient while we're working in advances or AR. So I'm not sure how many people use the AR adjustment and advancements, but again, very powerful. And coming soon, you know, there's going to be a new feature on recording customer refunds. And so that just wanted to let you know that in case you guys do record or receive a bunch of refunds outside of Sage Intacct. And so it's gonna allow us to bring those refunds in and streamline that process. They're also going to give us more flexibility in filtering the AR ledger report, and where we can now, you know, filter by that customer group, and it's going to include those child customer records. They're creating a couple of new custom objects where it's going to create you can create a custom report on those refunds. So when those refunds come in from outside of Sage Intacct and we bring them in, there's going to be a new custom object that we can report off of. And then this is going to be able to deactivate those alternative accounts. So sometimes you might have a default AR account, you know, your AR account, but you want to use something else. And so you've identified an alternative. And with that, what that does is it allows you to deactivate it when not needed. Okay, let's move on. For those folks that are using, this is Sage Intacct fixed assets. So there's a lot of fixed assets, I'd say applications that our clients use. And so this one is Sage Intacct, okay? And so what's new in fixed assets is it's going to give us the ability now when we bring in those historic, so we're going live and we need to bring in those historical depreciation amounts. Now we'll have an area that we can put those in when we're building the asset. Okay. We also have the ability to either, this is where when we go and import that and we enter our go live date, this is where we're going to say we're going to enter that manually instead of it calculating. And so it says when we enter this manually, we're going to get a new field where we can enter that amount. And so with this new feature, it's going to gain, you know, flexibility. It's going to align the depreciation values with our asset books. And it's going to save time because it'll reduce those manual reconciliations during that historical asset migration. Now we can also, this is another cool feature enhancement. We can update assets in bulk using that new import service that I mentioned earlier. And again, we can only get to this from the checklist, the company checklist. But it allows us to perform these. We can place assets in service now, dispose those, we can transfer, we can put them back in review and update the asset details. So again, very powerful for fixed assets. This is, I think this is all, I mean, this release has a lot of enhancements. And so here's another good one for those fixed assets. You know, there's times where we may have accidentally posted something and we needed to revert that back. And it wasn't the easiest process. And now, so what we have is we have a button here. So we can go find those entries, select them, and revert back by a click of a button. So that's really going to save time. It's going to reduce those errors and obviously increase efficiency with that. And so that's coming out on Monday. All of this is coming out on Monday. And then just other areas within Sage Intacct. You can see there's a lot of information. Again, you guys are able to see the release notes. And so I pulled all of this from the release notes, and there's a lot more. But really some of the other key enhancements, the depreciation enhancements gives us the ability now to view those cumulative depreciations. And we can see that updated daily depreciation method. And so now the list page gives us features too, will allow us to do the edits and the adds right from the list enhancement page. So again, always expanding. Not a lot on GL this time, probably because we've, really enhanced this a lot. But one of the features that they've opened up on this one is when we go into like the journal entries and we view those entries, we can kind of see all of the top level transactions by marking those. Okay. Now, this isn't added to the enhanced version. So if you turn on the enhanced view, you won't see that option. Okay. Just a couple other things. Again, it's giving us the ability, they're really focusing around those alternative AP and AR accounts. And now we're able to activate those. But if they're used within any of the configurations, you can't unactivate them. They'll have to stay active. But obviously the benefit by us having that new enhancement is we can inactivate those accounts and they won't be visible in the list when we're coding, which will reduce errors. Here's another neat area. Expenses. For those people that have been using employee expenses and maybe time, you've noticed in the last release, they separated those out. And really focusing around the credit card processing, employee expenses, and reports. So now what you can do is, this is a new feature too, you can tie your electronic receipts per line. So that really keeps it, especially if you had maybe like, I don't know, 4 weeks worth of expenses and they're coming from all over the place. Instead of going into the attachments and attaching all of them and then having accounting, determine which line it goes to, now I can add it right on the line item. So just to see what's new, now we can use credit card transactions and those receipts together in an employee expense report. We can link the credit card transaction with multiple receipts. That's going to help automate your employee expense creation process. We can create the credit card transactions automatically. So again, setting up those bank roles in cash management, and they're tightening this up and making more fields available for us to streamline this whole credit card process. We can link documents, like I mentioned, at the expense line. That's huge. And then we can even split those transactions now. So like, let's say I have a receipt that's going to have both my hotel, well, it's got a lot of stuff, hotel and maybe airline, and I can split those out and I can code those separately. So a lot of improvements around Sage expenses. And along with that is Sage time. And again, just put some key notes out here for those folks that may be using Sage time. But, key enhancements around timesheet entry. This is huge. You can calculate overtime now in timesheets. And then you have the ability, this is an early adopter. So again, look at new feature that they're working on is the ability to manage those employees' leave of absence, maybe, time off balances, leave requests. And it's just going to help that whole approval process workflow. So again, that's an early adopter. So you can see, new features being released next quarter. Okay. So with that, I'm going to go and I'm going to pause and I'm going to bring up Sage Intacct. And I'm going to show you some of these features here. I must have closed out of it. So let me just bring it up here. Yep. Let's bring it over. Okay. So what this is we get a copy of a pre-release. So some of the features and functionalities not all in this environment. So I'm going to take us through the areas that I do have and just to kind of get you excited, okay? And I know that we've been talking about email authentication, but it's a it's a big important requirement because of our email domains and how people fish off of those email. And so it's very important that you work with your IT guys and get this completed in the next couple of weeks. So what happens is, again, it's pretty simple process. From the navigator, we will click on company. We'll go to setup. We come into the company configuration. We click on the security tab and you have to have company admin full to do this. And then if you didn't click edit, you'll click edit. And then we just come right down here like I had in my screenshots. You just click to add your domain. And once you add your domain, you will receive some DNS keys. So I'm just going to put microaccounting. And when I authenticate this, it'll take a second. I can copy this, email it to my IT group, and then they'll turn around and they'll put these keys, they'll know what to do with it in their email server, the DNS section. They'll come back and say they completed that, and then you'll validate domain. If it doesn't say it's validated, then or authenticated, then something's wrong with the keys and they need to go back and forth, okay, which is rare. You can see it's a pretty simple process. This helps with the email delivery and highly recommend you get this completed. Okay, let's see what else I can show you in this new release. The import service tool is an area that I think we have a webinar maybe up and coming on this. But for those folks that import a lot, the only way to get to this tool, because you might be used to going to AP bills, and you'll notice that you have an import button here. Well, this new import service feature is only available through the company. So you go to company, you go to setup, and it's the import data. Again, you have to have permissions to the checklist to get here. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to go. Yeah. Now what's going to happen is, and some of you may be here, some people may operate from this screen. Some people just import from the area that they're importing to, right? So like if I wanted to go to maybe, let's see which area I want to go into. You'll see that some of these, let's go to account groups. Let's see if you can see some of these. I must not have my import tool set up. I apologize. Oh, here it is. Sorry. It's right up here. Now what you do is you'll go, if it loads, and this is called your import workspace. So if you're looking for it on the checklist, it might take a second to load. So I might go ahead and go to the next screen until this loads. Just here it goes. Just for a reminder for those folks, if you want to have multiple tabs going across, just a reminder, you can right click and you can duplicate, then you can have multiple tabs going across the top. For those folks that may not have seen this before, this has been out there for a while too. It takes a moment to get comfortable, used to it. There's all kinds of help topics over here that will help guide you, but you can see the different areas that they're building, and they're always building onto this list. not every component is available within the import service tool. So you can see where you can. Basically, you can create a template, you can create, and you can go through this process. It takes a hot minute, so I'm not going to go through all of it. We're going to have a webinar on this, but just know that they're opening more features, okay? And the biggest benefit of using this tool is that you get to see all your errors at once. You can correct those right here within the service tool, and then you can import. Whereas the old import process is it imports, it errors, you fix it, you import, it errors, and you fix it. So you can see the efficiency around this tool. Let's see, let's go talk about those vendors. So again, if I go to my navigator, I click on accounts payable, I select my vendors. I'm on my vendor screen. I have the ability to pay right from the screen now. And when I select pay, it's going to bring you to the paid bill screen, which is, the same screen that you work from on a day-to-day basis. But now it just allows me to already select those bills. Those bills would already be selected in my view, and I can hit those pay now. Whereas, pay bills, I come in here, I either pull a date range, I pull a vendor, and then I have to go select. So it just kind of like, saves clicks. Once you close out of here, you'll land back on the vendor page. While we're talking about the pay feature, I'm going to roll into AR just so that you can see the pay feature there from a customer perspective. And so from the AR perspective, same concept. I can filter on a particular customer, find all of the invoices that I want to apply payment against. I can select them, and then I can apply the payment. Let's go talk about, and I shouldn't have jumped, but since we were talking about, payments and receiving payments, I'm going to jump back to AP. So I'm going to go back to the navigator. I'm going to go to accounts payable, and I'm going to go into the configuration. And what I'm talking about, or what I'm going to configure, is delegating a bill approval process. So I'll scroll down, and again, you have to have the right permissions, and we'll talk about that in a minute just to reiterate that. But if you scroll all the way to the bottom within the configuration, if you have the proper permissions, it's almost there. And if you're already using bill approval, these two buttons most likely would already be checked. But you're going to notice you also have the delegate. That's typical. But now what we have the ability to do is we can just assign that delegator right here. And once we assign that delegator, then the user, the end user that's going on vacation or out of the office, they'll come back up into the user preference. And then we'll scroll down and we'll see that the approval delegation, and it'll have, if I was part of the approval list, I would have the ability to say, hey, I'm out of the office from this date through this date. And so who's ever identified as my delegator will receive all of those bills for approval. And again, whoever is that delegator will be part of the audit trail. So once they approve something, they will be part of the audit trail. Let's see. Let's go talk about another neat area for those folks that aren't using bank feeds but may want to. If you go into cash management, again, you have to subscribe to cloud services, but under cash management, if you are subscribed, you have these other areas. You can import your bank file if you aren't able to connect directly. Or if you are, all of those transactions land in the bank transaction section. And now what happens is, if I have a new view or create a new view, and I select all of these fields, I can use those in my create or match rules or even assignment rules, creating something, right? From an AR perspective. So if I select all and then I go and save it, and I just call this bank, something I can remember, I'll just say bank with all fields. If I would like anyone or everyone to see this, I'll select deploy. If I leave that unchecked, I'm the only one who would see this view, and I'm just going to save it. Now what will happen is that view is available in this section, that very first drop-down list. And if I select bank with all fields, you can see all the fields now that are available. And I can search off of those, even within here. And then I can also use those for my rules. So very exciting, and more to come. I mean, again, what is Bank Feeds? It helps with bank reconciliation. And it can also create GL entries. So this is becoming more and more powerful every day. Other cool areas, let's see what I can take you through. Let's talk about that default list view, just so that we touch on that. So what I'm talking, and I reference AP, but it's throughout the system. Anywhere we have an area that has turn on enhanced list will become a default view on Monday. So don't forget, updates on Friday. We come in on Monday. You log into Intact. You go to your bill section, and it's going to look like this. It's okay. That's just the default. Try to get used to it. Like I said, I'm going to show you some cool stuff in here. So just to show you some buttons, this guy right here, this allows me to have a split view. What that means is, look at that. It's a split view. I can go look at a bill for American Express, and I apologize for the slowness, and I can see the bill right from here. I typed in the vendor. Here's my bill, and I can see the details. I thought that was kind of cool too. Look at, I can get right into the vendor from the split view. How cool is that? And if I needed to edit something on that bill for that vendor, I could click edit. I could make that correction, save it, and that's part of that bill. So again, very, very powerful stuff, especially when I want to see that attachment. Up here, we have the way, this is how we can configure some columns, meaning that what do you want to bring into this view? What do you want to remove? I mean, again, this is something that we need to get used to because it's the way of the future. Let's say that you're really busy and you don't want to mess with it, then what you can do is you can turn it back off, okay? So if you go back, come on, let me just take it this way. Right. Up here, oh, there's this little guy. Sorry. Oh, this was really cool too. This is what I want to show you. So right from here, this is create a bill. So again, you're in the bill view, and you can create your bill without going back into the top level and saying AP bills add. So you're right in that list view right from here. Right from this view, I can create a bill. Same thing with my vendors. So if I turn on the enhanced view and I split view,